Okay, so this is a live call for Collab 101, which means that I'm gonna do a little bit of instructional component, and we're gonna have an opportunity to share your experience in Collab 101 so far and anything that's been challenging or especially wonderful or generative for you. And we're going to run this conversation just like a standard meeting practice. So if you've done the intro to Collab in lesson 1, then you are a little bit familiar at least with the standard meeting practice. And that's how we're going to run it. I'm going to put a link to the living agenda in the chat box so you can have access to it. It's also been sent out, so it should be in your email inbox. But we're going to be tracking the conversation here in the living agenda, starting where it says 12:15:17, 12 p.m. ET live call, which is at the bottom of page 2. And I'll just give you a moment to get on the document. Okay, so we're going to start with check-ins. In the intro to Collab, you may be familiar with the process of a standard meeting practice, which usually starts with admin. As a facilitator, you have a little bit of discretion to decide about some ways that the standard meeting practice plays out. I like to start with check-ins when I have the option. We already did a few admin details, like I shared the link with you and I told you where we were tracking the details of this meeting. Starting with admin details allows us to just become grounded with each other and a little bit more familiar so that we're more prepared to take on a conversation that has a little bit more depth. Sorry about that. So we're going to start with some check-ins. I like to ask, who you are and where you are in the world and also in your Collab 101 journey. So basically, how many lessons have you completed, and just briefly. And then let's do another check-in question, which is, what are you doing to bring light into your life right now? Or conversely, how are you enjoying the darkness? So you get to decide. And check-ins are brief. You have just 1 or 2 minutes to become present with the group, to share anything that you need to share in order to be more present. So let's start with Kaylin. Kaylin, if you wouldn't mind jumping in and answering those questions.
I'm in Vermont. I'm still pretty new to Collab. I haven't used it or practiced it. I've been using the 8 Shields model, which is could be used with it, so it's not really exclusive. What to say about the larger question, which was, what am I about bringing light in right now? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm having to do anything special right now for that. It's just coming all on its own. So, yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Kaylin. Welcome. And Rob, would you mind checking in next?
Certainly. So I'm new to Collab, and I'm in the middle of the first lesson. I'm at the office now and might get called out of this meeting. I was expecting maybe something a little more anonymous where I could be listening and learning and not having to have to be so present. But I'm appreciating this, and I am looking forward to finding time where I can spend more time in these meetings. And I'd say that I'm currently finding ways to stay in the darkness and stay present in the darkness just with lots going on during the busyness of the holidays, son struggling at school, work is very busy, and I'm not doing enough for myself and those kind of things. So I'm just trying to stay present to all that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rob. It's a constant journey, huh? So my name is Charlotte. I'm in Montpelier, Vermont right now, although I live a little bit south in Heinsberg, and I'm one of the Collab trainers and coaches. I helped write and develop this program, this Collab 101 program, which is, it's just really exciting to be able to also help, work directly with students. I am appreciating some aspects of the dark right now. I am finding, although last night was an exception, I'm finding that I'm able to spend more time sleeping with all this darkness. And I wake up with the sun, and that's at 7 o'clock, not at 4:30 or 5. So that's been great, actually, to try and just catch up on sleep. And everybody needs that part of the cycle. And I feel like this is a good time of year for that piece, a little bit of darkness. So welcome, everyone. I'm just starting to scribe here a little bit. I wrote in everyone's names in the order that they checked in, which is a practice that we, as scribes, do to just record the order that we checked in, because that becomes your order of attention as you move through the meeting. If you ever need to go in a round again, you always get in the same order. So I just wrote everyone's names in order, and I didn't record any personal details from the check-in because that's not actionable. It's not necessary for us to record that kind of information. So that's it for check-ins. Then we move on to admin details. I already showed you where the document is, and we are scheduled to run this meeting at least until 1 o'clock. I'm flexible. Last time we stayed until 2. We had a bunch of questions and really rich discussions. So I'm certainly flexible to stay, and anybody who needs to leave, that's totally fine as well. It's wonderful that you checked in, and it's also totally fine if you want to just shoot a quick chat message when you leave, and that is no problem either. And if you're new to us, which I believe you both are, if you wouldn't mind signing this photo release form. We don't use any of these videos in marketing purposes, but we do release these videos to the course platform so everybody can watch them later if they want to catch up on what we discussed today. So if you wouldn't mind signing that photo release form, that would be really helpful. And then we go on to ops reports. Ops reports are a good opportunity for teams to check in on the progress of their projects. Projects in collaborative and participatory teams are mutually agreed upon, which means that they're aligned with the strategic initiatives that the whole group just, kind of reveals and agrees on together. So aligning on the progress of your projects and being able to listen for any support that you might be able to offer, any feedback that's needed, or any questions that you have about the progress of projects is so important with collaborative teams. So what we're going to do today with our ops report is just give you an opportunity to check in on what kind of homework you've gotten to, what videos you've watched, and if you have any questions about that we can add to the agenda. The ops reports is also a great opportunity to just help build the agenda, help people notice what's hot and what needs to be discussed. So we'll start with Caitlin. If you want to just do a quick homework check-in and let us know if there's any agenda items that have come out of your work with Collab 101 that you want to bring to the agenda today. Caitlin, are you with us?
Sorry, I was on mute. No wonder, so you didn't hear me. I really haven't gotten started yet with the homework and the materials. So I'm hoping to do that soon, more likely in January. So yeah, I don't have
great
questions. I haven't worked with the material enough to, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem. Thanks for checking in. and that's totally understandable and totally fine. Rob, any homework report out or any agenda items that have come out of your work so far?
No, I haven't gotten into it enough. I have no report on the homework, and then I have nothing to add to the agenda.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. And just in terms of my check-in, I guess I would say, reporting on my work in relation to this scope. So my work in relation to this scope that we're in right now is that I, prepared for and delivered the last live call, and then wrote the wrap from that live call, and then also prepared for this live call. And I'm here now with you. I do respond to forum posts sometimes as well, so that's one of the things that I keep up on. And if you want to reach out in the forums, then you'll be able to chat with me there. The forums are located at the bottom of each Collab 101 lesson page. There are also exciting questions to kind of engage in there, where you can see other people's responses and kind of learn from each other. But that's not an ops report. That's a separate thing. And I think that's that kind of encapsulates the work that I've been doing for this scope. So that's my ops report. And then after ops reports, we go into agenda building and processing. The agenda building section is, can be really individual based on the kind of meeting that you're having. In general, we really like, and it's one of the things that we teach, it's a major aspect of collaborative processes, is that the agenda also is collaboratively generated. So it should be generated out of the attentions of the whole group, not just one person, as is the case in many other many non-collaborative organizations. And that's why I opened it up to you all if you had anything to bring to the agenda today. But just in terms of what we do have there, I had a little bit of a discussion, instructional piece on how to set your intention so that you can make the most out of Collab 101. And just to share a little anecdote about what a recent student was able to accomplish, because he had a really clear intention when he engaged in the learning here. And then we'll talk a little bit about personal development and how our process for personal development engages your intention setting in a kind of generative, accountable way. And then just a couple, just one question: how's the timing working for you? How is the timing of this call, and what might work better? And then I always put this down as in every live call, just to talk about what happens after Collab 101. What kind of services do we have available to support your ongoing learning in collaborative leadership and in the system of Collab? So we'll talk a little bit about the collaborative leadership certification program that we have. And that's all I have for today. And we'll just start right at the top, making the most of Collab 101. So, and actually, just to let you know, it's one of admin details. We usually make it clear who's facilitating and scribing. So I'll just mention briefly that I'm facilitating and scribing. Sometimes I ask if there's anyone else willing to scribe, but today it doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of scribing to do. So I'll just continue to take notes. And if there's anything that you'd like to see written down, you can certainly interrupt me or post a message in the chat box, or add a comment to the doc, and I can add any information that you would like to see written down. So I just wanted to start this little instructional piece by sharing a story about a recent student who was able to really take his learning from this simple, well, it's not really simple online course, is it? But take his learning from this, relatively free, cheap online course, and really help use the learning that he did to help launch a new project, and it is currently using Collab. So I just want to post in the recent blog that my partner wrote about him. So this is just a recent blog post that my partner wrote about Andy Barker. And he's just a recent student that I bring up because his his story is really amazing. Yeah, Rob.
I'm assuming that you've put the blog somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. Is it in the live agenda?
It is in the living agenda, and I'll just put it in the chat box right there.
Well, I'm fine getting used to the tools as well. Is it just scroll down? I just didn't scroll down far enough, yeah?
It's at the top of page 3, and it's hidden behind the words blog post about Andy Barker.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Andy is a student that engaged with Collab 101 earlier in the spring. I think he joined in March, and we just had released Collab 101 at the beginning of February, so it was still a new endeavor for all of us, obviously including the students. And Andy joined. He came on board with a previous experience of having been a leader in his industry, and he's somewhat retired now, although he's, as I mentioned, starting new projects and engaging with his community in new ways. So he was excited about starting this project to try and bring a specific kind of outdoor community-based learning to the Burlington High School students. So he was working with a project group to begin to talk about this whole new thing. And he wanted to, and I take it that they all wanted to engage in this process in a very collaborative way. And Andy, as is the case with many, if not most leaders, was more familiar with hierarchical management, and that's fine. That's normal, obviously. And was probably very accomplished with that kind of thing. And he took it upon himself to, seek out further learning in order to be able to engage in this new project in a more collaborative way, and be more aligned with his cohort in that sense, to be more collaborative. So he had a really specific goal when he engaged with Collab 101, and I think that helped a lot. And he set the intention to be able to learn enough through Collab 101 that he could bring these tools to his team. Now, Collab 101 it's a big chunk to bite off. It's really cheap. So some people think that it's going to be really easy, but it's actually really complex. And, really there's a lot of learning and a lot of teaching that we've done in order, to bring this program about. And sometimes I think that it can be overwhelming for people and they can kind of lose themselves. And we're working to make sure that doesn't happen, and try and reach people in the way that they need to be reached. But the fact is that it doesn't have all of the, it's an introductory program. So we have 3 further levels, that we teach people in order to become really competent Collab facilitators. And Andy, because he set his intention and he worked really hard to engage in the live calls and make the most out of every lesson, he was able to learn enough from Collab 101 to take that back to his team, and is using Collab now in his team, which I just think is amazing. I mean, I've been learning Collab for 4 years intensively, and I still have questions. And I'm a trainer, I'm a teacher. So I probably shouldn't tell everybody that, but there I go. I just said it. And Andy was able to bring this back to his team because he set the intention to be able to do so. So I just bring this story up as a reminder that setting a really clear goal for yourself as you take on any new personal development endeavor is going to help make the most out of that thing that you've picked. And right now we bring it up in the Collab 101 context, but really you're taking on personal development endeavors all the time. And it's an important and valuable skill that I've learned within my Collab learning. Collab is so broad-based and has so many applications. So one of the things that I've learned is how to take on personal development in a way that's going to be more beneficial. And that's by, being really conscious about setting your intentions, being conscious of how you're doing, whether you're measuring that every day. Some people use colors, some people use journal entries, some people use, wellness charts and all these things to to see how you're doing and to use metrics. Some people just get a sense of like how that's working for them. But the goal here is to set a goal and then measure it in some kind of way that informs your ability to know whether, how you're doing, whether you're doing well, whether you need to change things, whether it's working or not working. So that's why we brought up this topic today, just because we want to make sure that people get the most out of this journey. It can be so powerful. It can be so transformative. So what if you set an intention? And then how do you set your intention? So we have this personal development set of personal development practices that you can find in the instructional manual, which you guys all have access to. I'll put the link in there in just a second. It looks like Google Drive is being a little buggy. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so now I just got kicked off the living agenda. Okay, 1 second. Okay, here we are. Here is the instructional manual if you don't have it saved on your computer. And if you go to the instructional manual and go to page I apologize. Okay, sorry about that. And you go to page 96. You'll see the card called Topic Development. So we're going to talk about topic development as a way to set your intention. Your topic is your goal. And we have this whole system of personal development that starts with topic development and then also provides a system for feedback and a system for some accountability in your team, because we believe that personal development should be something that's also incorporated into the workplace. So we teach people to incorporate this into their collaborative management strategy. But in any case, you can certainly use it on your own. I use it on my own all the time, and topic development is the way that you get started with that process. So topic development, you ask yourself some of these questions that are listed here on the living agenda. They're also listed on the card. What am I doing to seek out this training? Like, why am I seeking out this training? What is my tension with my life and work? And why is it important to me to address this tension? What am I doing that contributes to this tension? How is this affecting me and the people around me? And what's the feedback I'm getting about that? Are there any themes that I can see that is addressing this tension or this reason that I'm seeking this kind of learning? And what can I attend to for the greatest leverage? So in terms of your work with Collab 101, you've identified that you want to have some leverage in your collaborative leadership. And you've engaged with this online learning platform to provide a little bit of support for that learning goal. So the way that you clarify that learning goal and the meaning that it brings to your process of learning is going to be the thing that allows you to take this and move it into, just the next level with being able to integrate this into your life and work. So my goal with this tension would be to just introduce you to these questions, and then to ask if you have questions and if you want to share, what brought you to this learning. What is your preliminary, obviously you haven't had time to think about it, but what is your preliminary reason for engaging with Collab 101? Also, could be rephrased eventually as your topic. So we'll just do a round. And Caitlin, would you like to start? You're muted. I can unmute you. There you go.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, Collab, I like the idea of sharing power in a room, and I think that makes people feel like they're participating in a meaningful way and makes everybody more accountable for outcomes. I think it creates the potential for people making a deeper commitment to greater amounts of change. I think it has a lot of potential, and I want to learn how to practice more elements of that, of sharing power.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, I would ask you some questions too to help you clarify that for yourself. So why is it important to you?
Oh, me personally?
Yeah.
Oh, I think for me personally, I like sharing responsibility with other people. I feel like I feel like I get more creative myself, and I get excited by my own creativity. And when I can bounce ideas off people, then I'm more likely to continue along paths and really see outcomes from whatever my ideas were. So it's just very exciting for me to see those ideas gain momentum.
That's beautiful. Yes, absolutely. That's why, that's one of the reasons I'm here too. So I totally get it. So, so that's wonderful. And I would take, your intention to be able to work collaboratively with others to bring your ideas into fruition. That's your intention. It sounds like in engaging with Collab. And I would think, and you can certainly, I can write that down if you'd like it to be recorded, or we could not write it down and you could write it down in your notes. But what my next action for you basically would be to read through this personal development card and think about, what can you distill that down? What's the essence of that? What are the themes that come out of your goals here that you can turn into a topic sentence like you see at the top of page 97, which phrases your topic as an improvement goal that allows for progress over time. So increasingly accomplishing what's important to me is a good example. It's right there. To have more confidence to initiate difficult conversations. So something like that. And then how are you going to track that? How are you going to measure your progress on that? And thank you for sharing. Rob, would you mind sharing some of your goals?
Well, certainly. Let's see, I've come, a couple of years ago, I did one class with Round Sky and wasn't able to give it any time. I had a conversation with, I'm forgetting her name, but one of the
Cecile.
Yeah. And find the work and what I've read so far just to be, dead on. The sharing of power and the importance of that. So I'm just drawn in interest to the work of Round Sky. I'm in a leadership position. I find myself that I'm naturally more of a doer than a leader. So I'm needing to find ways to have other people do as well. And therefore, I think the sharing of power, I think I don't, as a white male in this society, there's a way in which haven't been afraid of power. It's just been, I've been placed in positions, unconsciously, easily, readily. And, over the years have grown to learn of my privilege in that, at first I felt burdened by it, but then I realized, that my burden was a privilege as well. So wanting to learn how to share power, how to empower others, how to enact my power in ways, that's collaborative, etc. There's a way in which there's nothing new and everything new all at the same time.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so much I could say about that. Like digressing and asking whether that's infectious, can we bottle that? Can we spread it around? Or just being, just appreciating you and your process and the reason that you're here. So thank you. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And I would also encourage you to take on that next action as well, is to just ask yourself some of these questions, see if you can distill it down into an actionable sentence. And if there's any way that you can, measure that as you move forward to see how it's affecting you in your work and life. So the topic development card is where I would encourage you to read. And I'm just so grateful to both of you for being here and having shared your topics. I'll go ahead and share my topic, which is slightly different. It's, a little bit outside of the course platform, because I'm not exactly engaging in that, learning right now. So for me, I'm finding that there are lots of different forces all around me all the time that tend to have a strong effect on me, and at times pull me pretty far out of center. And so my personal development goal is to remain grounded in the face of all the many different stressful forces at play. And I use my body as a tool a lot, just to check in with my breathing and with my, with the goosebumps on my arm, and, my feet on the ground and the chair supporting my butt. And, so using my body as a tool has been really transformative for me. And that's, I've been working on this topic specifically for the last 8 months or so. And it's certainly been important this year. So I'll just share that briefly. And that's all I wanted to say about this topic, making the most out of Collab 101. Is there anything else that's percolating that that y'all have questions or comments about in terms of this topic?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. And I just want to move to, how's the timing of Collab 101 calls working for you? So we'll do another round, and I'm going to scribe your answers here so I can keep track. This is mostly for me as the course producer to make sure that we're, doing all we can to meet the students where, where their needs are. So Caitlin, how's this timing working for you? And is there another time that you think would be especially great?
This time works well for me. Even a half an hour later is a half an hour better, but this time is great. Once a month, Fridays, yes.
Great, thanks, Caitlin. Rob, would you mind?
Yeah, I forgot to say where I'm from. I'm in California, so it's 9 o'clock in the morning my time. And it actually is a good time because the afternoon gets a little moving too fast, especially on a Friday. I will, it is during my work time, but it's okay. This is supporting my work as well. So it actually is a good time. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rob. And the next thing is the Collaborative Leadership Certification Program. I didn't intend for that to be in all caps. There it is. And I'll just give you a link to the CLCP1 sales page where you can kind of learn about what it means to engage in level 1 and just give you some information about, you know, what that looks like for students and what that experience has been like for me as a CLCP student, which I still am. So Collab 101 is our intro course. It's really, it's like a survey course of all the different pieces of Collab. And as I mentioned, it seems like it could be easy, but it's actually quite complex and really deep work. Each of the lessons that we've developed in Collab 101 correspond to much greater and much longer learning that's basically available. We work with people for years in order to kind of learn deeply how to bring this process of Collab into a scope or a team, how to teach Collab and how to facilitate using Collab. So our Collaborative Leadership Certification Program kind of comes after Collab 101. And if you've done Collab 101, then you can jump into level 1, which is, it can be a remote learning program. I also have a local cohort that I meet with in person, but mostly it's remote. And that's, it's about one meeting every one meeting twice a month for about 4 months, 4 or 5 months. So we have about 10 sessions. Some people take longer, some people take 12 sessions to complete. The instructors kind of temper and mediate the learning material to meet each cohort's needs. So it can sometimes take longer. It's never taken less than that. That's not true. We have a cohort that's going through right now that's been using Collab for a few years, and they're actually getting it done, I think, in 6 sessions. But in general, it's 10 or more, 10 or a few more sessions. And this is the opportunity. It's designed around a mini cohort model, which means there's 4 people in your learning group, and you work with 1 instructor, sometimes 2, and you meet directly with this cohort in using the standard meeting practice, and shifting facilitation and scribing responsibilities amongst the students, so that each student gets the chance to practice those skills. And the instructors provide more in-depth learning opportunities and homework and readings over that amount of time, and it's really transformative. In level 1, we focus on being able to facilitate the standard meeting practice, so that's our #1 goal. Level 2, which is a 6-month program, is focused on really nailing down personal development, really engaging in somatic experiencing, and being holding the role of facilitation within any being able to hold the role of facilitation within any group. And then level 3 would be the most the final and most in-depth level, and that engages people in being able to teach Collab, being able to become a trainer. Excuse me. So that's just a brief description of the CLCP, and I can tell you that, we have, just in terms of a cost perspective, we have scholarships available to folks in Vermont. We're working on getting scholarships available to folks outside of Vermont and really all across the globe, because we have lots of students that would love to engage, that apparently don't always have the funds necessary. So that's really important for us right now, is to get those scholarships in line. And we also have flexible payment plans for everyone, including the opportunity to do some work study. And there's a referral partnership opportunity. If you bring in 3 members of your organization and you want to have a cohort, then your spot would be free. So that's an option. And And I can just tell you that from my perspective, I have been engaging in learning with Round Sky Solutions through the CLCP for the last 4 years. And it's been truly transformative. I am someone who has also at times been put in leadership positions. You could say I'm a natural born leader, and sometimes you don't know what that means. And like, you try your best, but you just kind of like just digging around in the fog, and even with good leaders around me, and sometimes once in a while a good mentor would come along. I needed all the help I could get, and so through training with Round Sky and through the CLCP, I've been able to clarify my personal mission and values, and be able to start manifesting the future that I want to see in the world for myself and for the next generation, because of the clarity that I can now bring to my life and my personal work and my work in my business. I was able to launch my own business and run it successfully for a year before Round Sky invited me to come on as a partner, and take my truly personal development, my spiritual development, my relationship with my body and my mind, and meditation and all these personal goals that I've had. I've been able to take everything to a new level, every 6 months or so, because of the tools that I have, and the skills that I have with Round Sky. I'm also able to connect with people in my community and my friends on a much deeper level. This learning has taught me what it means to deeply listen to myself and others, and not just to listen, but to take that listening and make it actionable, to turn it into things that you do to get done. And that sounds reductive, but it's so powerful. It's so powerful to have those skills, and I'm so grateful for the learning that Round Sky's brought into my life. So that's my little spiel about the CLCP. I'm an instructor and the course producer. So, if you have any questions, or, anything comes up in terms of your learning with Collab 101, or you're interested in further learning with Round Sky, just reach out to me. Charlotte.root at roundskysolutions.com. And I'll just open it up for questions and comments if you have anything that you wanted to ask about the CLCP. Popcorn style.
I don't have any questions. I'm good.
Thanks, Caitlin.
No questions. I think the whole process, what I'm finding is that there's a way in which I have the intuitive part I get, and the more, the concrete things are the things that I need to focus on. You said something about, it sounds reductionist, but those are the things that I think are the aspects that I need more attention to. So that's all. Thanks.
Yeah, totally. Me too. Cecile, just as a digression, Cecile doesn't need help with that. She's an it person. She identifies the thing that needs to be done and then does it. And not everybody works like that. And she has brought so much into my life, and yeah, so. So that's the CLCP. And then in the standard meeting practice, we move on to wrap and close. Wrap is a time for you to gather all the things that you've done in the meeting into one place, so that they can be passed on to people that were there, and they can, be put into personal task tracking systems, and we move forward. And they can also be passed on to people that weren't there. I am going to write down that next action just so we have one next action. So that next action was all to read topic development card and ask one's self questions to clarify personal development topic. And then next actions get highlighted in pink. And then you, in the wrap, you decide how that next action is going to be sent out. So usually just check in with the scribe and say, are you willing to send out those next actions in an email? And then the scribe says, yes, I will, and then writes that down. So CR to send wrap, we call it a wrap email. And then you discuss when the next live call will be. Our next live call will be, oh, let's see if I can remember. I believe it's like 1:18 or something like that. Oh, geez.
Friday the 19th, January 19th.
That's what it is, huh? All right, next, thank you very much. At noon Eastern time. And then we move on to close. We handle close just like we do check-ins. So we'll go in order, and I just want to ask the question, what stood out for you as beneficial, and if there's anything else you'd like to say in closing. Caitlin.
I was needing to engage the material and figure out where it all was, and start thinking about how I want to, look at the videos and read the instructional and participate in live calls. So I've kind of now feeling like I'm plugged into that, where I've kind of been on my agenda that, oh, there's this webinar out there, but now I feel like I've hooked into it and can start participating for real. So, yeah.
Thanks, Caitlin. Rob.
Well, similar to Caitlin, I'm appreciating the soft push to get involved in the class, and also the experience of going through the process as a learning process as well. You're telling us how you're going through the meeting, etc. So we're learning the process as we're doing the process. Was very interesting as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rob. And I found that it was just wonderful for me to share Andy's story. It's been exciting to see the work that he's been doing, and just to talk about, what it is to set intentions. And I really appreciate each of you for being here. And yeah, I would encourage you to come to the live calls. If you come to the live calls and have questions, we can talk directly about your experience, trying to implement Collab in your life. And there are oftentimes really rich generative discussions that come out of these live calls. And, the forums can be a place where you can learn about the other students that are engaging in this learning. And I would encourage you to reach out to me or Rebecca. She's the one that sends you the emails. And we'd be thrilled to hear from you. So thank you so much for being here, making the time. And I hope that you all have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend, and can, find your healing in this time of darkness. Bye.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you. Okay. Nice meeting you, Rob. And Charlotte, I'll see you soon.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Charlotte. And nice meeting you, Caitlin, as well.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.